Hey there and welcome back to Sims Sunday. My name is Pete and in this series, as usual, we try to complete The Sims 3. Now, first of all, my apologies for the slightly delayed episode. My weekend turned out to be a bit busier than expected and I couldn't quite finish the episode in time. Still, we will have a few very exciting things happen in this episode, including the completion of another skill and the end of Pauline's pregnancy. And we will actually start things off with Pauline, who, while the rest of the household is still asleep, is already busy painting. Then we jump ahead 3 hours and the first person awake is Patrick, who once again gets things started in the garden, while Pauline already finishes her second painting of the episode. While she starts working on number 3, we can join Paul for breakfast and also watch our latest family member Reid pass by, who is on his way outside to also start a new painting. After a quick shower, it is then time for business as usual with Paul. We still have an unfinished masterpiece novel waiting, and finishing that novel will be Paul's task for the day. Speaking of finishing, outside Reid completes his first painting of the episode, and we can sell that and immediately start another one. With him, we will continue to paint small paintings until we have completed 30 of those, as that will unlock the Brush Master challenge, allowing us to paint a lot faster. With painting number 3 completed, it is now time for Pauline to take a break, and we can work on one of her wishes, and that is to donate 5,000 simoleons to charity. She also has another one to donate 250 simoleons, and so with a 1,000 simoleon donation, we complete one wish and move closer to the completion of another. Afterwards, she can quickly grab herself something to eat and then head off to bed, and because of her pregnancy we don't really have to keep an eye on the clock. Pauline already has the next few days off. Reid then also completes another painting and also grabs something to eat for himself, and afterwards he also makes a trip to the mailbox. Not to make donations, however, but simply to grab the mail and pay the bills. We also see Patrick pass by, who's done in the garden for now and will quickly take a shower, while Reid goes back outside to paint. While he does, we can quickly sell what we received in the mail from the family inventory, and then watch Patrick pick up the Sim Life goggles to raise his fun bar in anticipation of his work shift. At the same time, by the way, Paul puts the Sim Life goggles back down. He just used them to get rid of some stress from writing. Then, with his fun bar filled and a good hour still left until Patrick's work shift starts, the two brothers can engage in a quick conversation. This will raise their social bars and most importantly prevent Patrick from getting a negative moodlet, which might hurt his mood and therefore also his work performance later on. With his social bar maxed out and a bit over half an hour left until the work shift starts, we can now send Patrick off. And while his brother Paul returns to the laptop to write, Patrick teleports himself off to the graveyard for another shift in the cemetery worker part-time career. At home, meanwhile, Reid finishes another painting that we can sell, but this time we won't start a new one. Instead, Reid will once again help out Patrick in the garden and harvest whatever Patrick didn't get to earlier. Half an hour later, Pauline is not only well rested but also squeaky clean, and that means we can get her back to painting. Then at 9 PM, Patrick's work shift already comes to an end again, and thanks to all the preparation we did earlier, he receives a promotion to Overseer of the Dead. Now at level 2 of this part-time career, only one more promotion remains. Back at home, Patrick could join Reid in the garden, but we also need someone to take care of the fish, and so Patrick will do that instead. And now, Paul's big moment awaits. Completing this 5th masterpiece novel completes the Specialist Writer skill challenge for him. That skill challenge was the last remaining skill challenge we had in the writing skill, and so with the skill maxed out at level 10 and all 3 skill challenges done, we can now safely call the writing skill completed. And as you can see, this also marks the point where we have completed all 10 skills of the base game, including all of their respective skill challenges. Now the next thing we're doing with Paul might seem a bit unusual, but we're going to start playing guitar. There are 2 more lifetime wishes associated with the guitar skill. The first one is Master of the Arts, which we can complete by maxing out the guitar skill and the painting skill. And the second one is Golden Tongue, Golden Fingers, which we can get by maxing out the guitar and charisma skill. Since painting and charisma are both already at level 10 with Paul, reaching that level 10 with the guitar skill will automatically complete 2 more lifetime wishes. Now back to Pauline, who once again has finished another painting and can now grab herself something to eat before she eventually returns to the easel. Patrick meanwhile has fed all the fish and can now join Reid in the garden to replant a few things, while we spend 20,000 lifetime happiness points to make Paul a bit more suited for the guitar skill. Using the midlife crisis lifetime reward, we can remove the workaholic trait from Paul. He is no longer employed and therefore doesn't need that anymore. And instead we will pick virtuoso, which will drastically increase the speed at which he learns the guitar skill. And like I said, Pauline now starts what I believe to be painting number 5 of this episode, while her Uncle Patrick is done in the garden and gets some sleep. Sleep is also what we can focus on with Paul now. After all, he has completed his main goal for today. Reid, meanwhile, is still out in the garden at almost 3 AM, but is now finally done with the harvest. That, however, does not mean that he has not finished his duties for today, as cleaning the toilet is up next. Afterwards, however, I think he has more than deserved a shower and then a full night of sleep. Now the only person awake is Pauline, who just got another painting done and can now once again increase the odds of getting twins or maybe even triplets by watching the Kids Zone channel on TV. And just a few minutes after she started doing that, the kids themselves seem to answer. Yes, we get the message that the baby is coming, but I have faith that this will be at least 2, maybe even 3 children. I guess the only way to find out is to drive Pauline to the hospital, wait and see. And here we are, being congratulated on a baby boy, and as is tradition, we will get him a name starting with P, so say hello to young Pablo. We can now also pick 2 traits, and this time I don't really want to pick the best traits possible. Instead, I want to go with something that forms a unique character and something that we maybe haven't used before. So the first trait for Pablo will be clumsy, making him a lot more likely to not only lose but also break objects. For the second trait, I've picked slop, which I think fits very well with clumsy, as it makes the sim a lot more likely to leave a mess. And just as expected, Pablo is not the only child joining the family. Another boy has come into the complete household, and Pablo's slightly younger brother will be named Pedro. Now Pedro will have a happy-go-lucky personality, starting things off with excitable. This is a great trait if your sim is socializing a lot, which I expect Pedro to do. Pedro will also be easily impressed, which should eventually help Pedro to turn into a sim that other sims just love to talk to. Now, I have to admit, this I didn't expect. Yes, we are not done yet. After Pablo and Pedro, Pauline also puts a girl out into the world, and she will also follow the same naming pattern, so Pablo's and Pedro's sister will be named Patricia. And Patricia will be a bit on the unstable side. With insane as a first trait, Patricia will be quite the unpredictable person, which is not exactly helped by the fact that her second trait will be neurotic. This will make her very likely to freak out over even the smallest inconveniences, and I have to say, as morbid as that sounds, I actually look forward to that. Now 3 is enough, time to get Pauline, Reid and their newborns home. Now, as you might have expected, with 3 new household members, we need to expand slightly. So what you can see me do here is build a 10x9 extension to the house, which will be divided into 5 small rooms and 1 larger corridor. With both the floor and the walls, we won't do anything fancy, and instead simply stick to the patterns we have used in the past. The extension will once again be accessible through an archway, and it will also be the new home of our gem collection. With the Hisha, we have acquired heart-shaped cuts of every gem available in the base game, but so far those have been hidden away in the family inventory. Today we're going to change that and put them out in the open right here. Now the 5 small rooms will be for the 5 eventual children that Pauline is going to have, so 3 of them will be occupied right away, while 2 of them can stay empty for the moment. Since we have the money, we can put a slightly more luxurious crib into each and every one of them, and all of Pauline's children will also get their own potty chairs. Now that the rooms are accessible, we only need a roof. Then we can put up a few lights inside, and also already put a bit of equipment in place for the other 2 rooms. 2 more lights for the hallway, and now we're ready to welcome home our babies. So Pauline and Reid both arrive back home, and Pauline will immediately begin carrying her children to the cribs. While she does, let's quickly take care of one thing I forgot earlier, and let's buy all 3 of our newborn children a teddy bear. Reid, meanwhile, can first grab something to eat, and then help Pauline with the babies. For the rest of this episode, both Pauline and Reid will be quite busy feeding, snuggling, and playing with their newborns, and I think we will also age all 3 of them up rather quickly, maybe even in the next episode already. For now, Reid has earned himself some rest, and Pauline a slice of cake. Afterwards, she can also lie down while we check in with Patrick. Once again, I have stopped his tour through the garden early, as we have a few preparations to make before his work shift starts. A shower is the first thing we take care of, and then afterwards Patrick can in a rare moment prepare himself a meal. What remains in the fridge is slowly coming to an end, and so Patrick will now prepare a family-sized serving of autumn salad. Reid, meanwhile, is not allowed to sleep until he is well rested. As you might be able to hear in the background, the children once again demand attention. Over in the kitchen, Patrick grabs a plate of salad, we can put the rest in the fridge, and then watch Patrick grab the sim life goggles because there is another work shift coming up and we want his fun bar maxed out for that. Almost exactly 1 hour later, his fun bar is filled, and so we can now send Patrick off to the graveyard for another shift at the mausoleum. At home, meanwhile, both Reid and Pauline are still busy with the children, but with 2 more diapers changed now, the little ones will hopefully be quiet for a while. And we can use that time to have Pauline start painting again. We can also see that Paul has already made it up to level 5 in the guitar skill. And just like yesterday, we will send Reid out to the garden to harvest what Patrick couldn't get to earlier. And speaking of Patrick, once again at 9 PM his shift at the graveyard comes to an end, and Patrick has once again filled his work performance bar more than halfway, meaning that precious last promotion should be a realistic target for his next shift. Back at home, both Reid and Patrick will now tackle the garden with combined forces, while Pauline can watch them from the inside and also finish another painting in the process. The babies are still sleeping, so we have a bit more time to grab something to eat, and also to have Pauline start feeding the fish for a change. Normally that would be either Patrick's or Reid's job, but since both of them are still busy harvesting, Pauline can now take care of that. And now one thing that I did forget up until this point, it is a new week in Sunset Valley, and that means we can collect our investment money. In total, we should come out at about 135,000 simoleons. As you can see, Patrick has now taken up the remaining fish feeding duties, while Reid has wrapped things up in the garden and is now on his way to a well-deserved shower. Afterwards, it's once again time to grab a bite to eat, while Paul has played enough guitar for now, and so, being rudely interrupted by the ghost of Pete, he will now make his way over to bed. The same is true of Patrick, by the way, who is now done with the fish. Pauline and Reid finished the day by once again taking care of their triplets, but with all of their needs satisfied for now, Reid can make his way to bed. Pauline can take a quick shower, and then, while she's on her way over to start painting again, we can make the cut. Once again, we have moved closer to the ultimate goal of completion, and with 3 new members in the household, things are certainly going to be exciting in the next few episodes. Join me next week for what is likely going to be a triple birthday, but until then, I can say thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!